At item 9 on the agenda, 25 CUP 45. Jude.
Jude Mattingly, Office of Planning Staff, 444 South 5th Street, Louisville, Kentucky. This is a conditional use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental in residential zoning. Property is zoned R5 within a neighborhood form district. There are 4 bedrooms in the home that would allow a maximum of 10 guests. There is off-street parking available in the driveway. The property is currently registered as an owner-occupied short-term rental, and there are no short-term rentals approved via conditional use permit within 600 feet of the subject property. Next slide, please. Here's an aerial of the subject site. Next photo, please. Or next slide. Zoning context. The subject property itself. The adjacent area, this would be if you were to travel northwest along Cannons toward Lexington Road. Next slide, please. And southeast along Cannons Lane toward Pee Wee Reese Road, which is Seneca Park. The proposal is adequately justified for approval. Existing use is residential, located in a predominantly residential area. Appears to meet all the standards of the conditional use permit, and there is adequate parking for the use. Next slide. And your required actions will be to approve or deny the conditional use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental in residential zoning. Next slide. All right. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'm here for any questions you might have.
So talk to me about parking associated with the site.
Yeah, absolutely. So the driveway, and the applicant might be able to go further into it, but the driveway itself, in addition, I believe there's a garage on site, would be able to fit the maximum amount of vehicles that are allowed by the LDC, which would be 5. So I don't envision it really being a problem. There's obviously no on-street parking on Cannons Lane, but there should be adequate space in that driveway. And the applicant even has kind of like a pad in the front that can be used as a turnabout, so that if, someone was backing out, they wouldn't have to back out onto Cannons Lane. They could, in theory, get themselves situated to pull out forward onto Cannons Lane.
So is parking allowed on that pad, or is it just strictly for turnabout?
So parking is not typically allowed in a front setback. So I do believe if vehicles were parked on that pad, it could be an LDC violation.
Okay, but it can be used for, you said backing in, turning around. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, members, any questions for Jude?
Jude, so that the turnaround, is that the angled, looks like an angled pad?
Yeah, and I think
like
it's visible in the photo of the front of the structure. You can see it kind of leads up to a front walkway to the front door.
But absent using the pad for parking, there's off-street parking for up to 5 vehicles.
Yes, correct? If you were to look at that driveway, including potential to store a vehicle into the garage, I do believe the property could fit a maximum of 5 vehicles, which is the maximum that the LDC would allow anyway in a suburban form district.
Okay. All right. I don't think there are any other questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia? How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Name and address, please.
Roberto Garcia, 505 Cannons Lane.
All right. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give today is the truth?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to provide a brief statement regarding my application for a conditional use permit to operate a non-owner occupied short-term rental at 505 Cannons Lane. I'm currently registered and operating a short-term rental at this address. This is my first and only short-term rental. I hosted guests on and off last year without any issues. I'm proud to say that I've maintained a perfect 5-star rating on Airbnb across 28 stays, which I believe reflects both the quality of my property and my commitment to being a responsible and attentive host. Equally, if not more important, I spoke with a couple of my adjacent neighborhoods, and they mentioned that they had had no problems with my guests. As a part of this application process, I held a neighborhood meeting to speak directly with nearby residents and address their questions and concerns. Most concerns centered around the potential for short-term rentals to change the character of the neighborhood or introduce disruptive guests. To provide peace of mind to my neighbors, I explained the safeguards that have already been in place since I began hosting. 1, a 3-night minimum stay to deter party-style bookings. 2, a no party policy in the house rules. And 3, no instant bookings. Guests must be approved by me before a reservation is confirmed. I've also recently purchased exterior security cameras to further monitor and protect the property. I provided my personal contact information to attendees of the neighborhood meeting and to 2 of the 3 adjacent neighbors. I'm personally managing and maintaining the short-term rental to ensure it continues to meet neighborhood expectations. When I have guests, I'm typically staying less than 10 minutes away so I can be available quickly in case of emergencies. When I'm not nearby, I have a couple of close friends who have agreed to step in and help if anything urgent comes up. Additionally, I'm fully aware of and complying with all local safety requirements, including working smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers, a first aid kit, and clearly posted emergency contact information inside the home. Lastly, I want to acknowledge that many concerns I've heard come from a deep care for the character of our neighborhood, peaceful, quiet, and family friendly. I want to emphasize that these are the exact qualities my guests are seeking when they choose my home. My goal is to operate in a way that reflects and protects the values we all share. I remain committed to being a responsible host and respectful neighbor. Thank you for your time and consideration.
So how do you monitor whether there will be parties or large gatherings?
So I have a rule in my Airbnb rules. It says no parties. I also, like I said, I'm going to be installing security cameras, and so I'll be able to see, if there's a large congregation there as well.
And you're 10 minutes away?
Yes.
Did you say?
Less than 10 minutes away, actually.
And have you shared your contact information with the neighboring property owners?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you want to share with us about your neighborhood meeting?
There were concerns, just about, like I said, the character of the neighborhood and disruptive guests. I assured them that I had put some safeguards in place to make sure, some of those things that they're concerned about, don't occur, or at least, there's a little chance of those things occurring. I also emphasized that, nobody cares more about this property than I do, and so I wanted to make sure it's taken care of and not a nuisance in the neighborhood.
Okay. Members, question for Mr.
I had
Garcia?
one. Several of the people that we've had with the short-term rentals have said we don't book to locals, that we only book with people coming in from out of town. So it diminishes, the thought is that it would diminish somebody like from U of L or something just getting together for a party away from their homes. So I didn't know if that's something you've heard of or considered or.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I have not, and I'm happy to consider it. I don't think I've really had many people from within Louisville try to book my property. Like I said, it's a minimum 3-night stay. And so I think that kind of deters like the one night, parties. I also think it's, it's a single family household in a nice neighborhood. And so I think, my price point also maybe filters out some of those just one night party goers.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. Garcia? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia, I do have a speaker card for someone in opposition, so you'll have an opportunity for rebuttal. Mr. Young? How are you today, sir?
Okay, how y'all doing?
Doing well, thank you. Name and address, please.
Andy Young, 504 Elon Avenue, Louisville, 40207.
You swear the testimony you're about to give today is the truth.
Yes,
Please proceed.
I'm not opposed to him doing that. Our backyard is, our house is, we share the back fence with each other. And when we're on our deck, we just have a clear view of his back porch and when the people are staying at his house, usually, they're just, it's a privacy thing, between the neighbors or between his house or his backyard and ours. We have a privacy fence, but our deck sits up and his porch sits up. So when people are using his place, they, and we use our deck a lot, especially, when the weather's nice. And I don't know, there's just no privacy between the two. You know what I'm saying? And I have a picture of the back of it. I don't have it for that, but I do have a picture off my deck. If I could show it to y'all, if I could come up. I don't know.
If you show it, if it's fine if the board agrees, but we'll need you to email that to us after the meeting so we can put it in the file.
Okay.
Okay, yes, you may approach.
I can show it to you. Okay. From my back.
Okay, so this is that deck is up.
If you're going to talk, you need to talk into a mic, so it's on the record. Sorry.
This is just that's his back porch. And this is the privacy fence. I put that privacy fence up last year. And this is just from our deck. And this is,
If you can just show them and then add, we're recording, so we're not picking up anything that you're saying for the record. So just show them, then you
And then
can
you can
highlight.
go to the podium and explain.
Other than, I'd just like maybe if he could put a couple arborvitaes or something up in the backyard, just, something along the fence, some tall bushes, just to kind of like, it'd be privacy for his guests as well as for us. That's all. That's the only condition I would have for it. Other than that, we have had no problems out of anybody that stays at his place, and I support him doing that.
Okay,
So
all right.
That's all I have.
And the arborvitae wouldn't be immediate screening. Of course, it would
Sorry.
have, the arborvitae wouldn't provide immediate screening. It would,
Well, it depends on
require
how
some
you
time,
pound
but
it.
it's-
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
But as they grow, they would.
all right. Sir, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's all I had.
Are we good?
We're good.
Thank you.
We're good. All right. Mr. Garcia, you get 5 minutes is anyone online to speak to this case? All right. You get 5 minutes for rebuttal to speak to the concerns raised by Mr. Young.
Definitely concern, or I understand the concern. I'm not sure if this is the forum for that discussion, but I'm happy to talk with Andy and see if we can work something out. If it's not my guest, it's me he's looking at. So I'm happy to talk with him outside of this forum.
Okay, so he did raise the question about additional screening. Is that the discussion you would have with him?
Repeat that, please.
He did raise the issue of additional screening. He talked about the arborvitae trees. So we know that that's a concern and something he would be interested in seeing. So is that the discussion that you would have with him?
Yeah, that's a discussion I can have with him.
All right. Members, is there anything else that you want to share or anything else in relation to what Mr. Young raised?
Again, not sure if this is the right forum, but we did have a new fence put in, Andy built a new fence back there, and there was some vegetation back there that actually gave privacy, and was taken down for the fence. But I'm happy to explore any possible solutions in the future. I didn't take down the vegetation, but happy to, like, again, want to be a good neighbor, explore solutions, be creative, be a good neighbor.
Okay, all right. I
And that's all.
don't think there's any questions at this point.
Thank you.
None from you? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, we do have an email that we received that was in opposition. And Jude, you did answer the question. There was a point raised about the parking pad, and you clarified the use of that parking pad. So that's appreciated. Members, I believe you all have a copy of that email. All right. So at this point, I'll close the public hearing. We're in deliberations on 25 CUP 0045.
Madam Chair, if just the board want to add a condition, because if you want to ensure the installation of landscaping, you need to do so by condition. Otherwise, it's not binding if he pursues that. So if you want that screening as part of the approval, I have a condition that I can read that you can tailor
And
if
we
you don't
need to make
like.
sure he's
Whenever
okay.
you're ready.
Plus, we need to make sure he's okay with that condition, because he just said he's going to talk to him about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can-
He hasn't committed to anything.
I can read a potential condition
That's something the board wants.
similar to what we've done in other places. We can find out if the applicant consents to it.
Okay, I'd like to hear the proposed condition.
And you can call some audibles on this if you want to change some of this. But the applicant shall install arborvitae along the rear property line between the north corner and the garage. I don't think it needs to be the entire property line because there's a garage back there, of at least 4 feet in height within 6 months of approval. The 4 feet in height is similar to what we've asked in the past because that will grow quicker than something smaller. And
Is that
if you
would
want to
that-
limit him to that type of landscaping, that's just what was mentioned in discussion.
And that's not as tall as the fence though, right? You said 4 feet?
It won't be initially, no, but
Yeah,
they
it'll
do,
Yeah.
if planted properly, could shoot up to 8 feet pretty quickly and be taller than the fence. Again, I don't know if you want to limit it to that type of vegetation. That's just what was mentioned. So that's one of the things that we can change if needed.
Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily limit it to that type of vegetation, but it was suggested. Yes.
Yeah, that type would be screening year round. So if we need to have something that ensures screening in the winter
Year-round.
months.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Could there be a wooden addition to the existing fence on top of that?
So the fence can only be up to 8 feet. So if it's at 6 feet right now, if it's in the setback, it can only be up to 8 feet. And they would probably most likely have to completely redo the fence because the footers would have to be placed differently for an 8-foot fence than for a 6-foot fence. They couldn't just add on top of it.
Yeah, and thinking more about the use of the specific vegetation, that's a fast growing type of vegetation. So yeah, so I don't have any concerns about the use of that and thinking more about that. All right.
We need to- If that's language you're interested in, we need to get the applicant up to see if he's okay
Yes,
with that.
Mr. Garcia. Do you have an opportunity to hear the proposed condition of approval?
Could you just repeat it?
Yes, yes.
The gist of it is, instead of reading it from the legal language, is that from that corner of your property to the area where the back building is, which I'm assuming is a garage, you would install arborvitae of at least 4 feet. So about half your back property line in front of the fence, you would install that within 6 months.
Okay. So, and this might be a question. So I'm happy to do, what I need to do to get a conditional use permit. So first and foremost, But I guess, so my question is, there was vegetation there that was, blocking the view. And I'm sure I have a picture of, that, you couldn't even see the other house. And so, I didn't tear that vegetation down. And so is it also my responsibility to then put some vegetation in place? And then I guess my follow-up to that, well, I guess at the moment I think that's it.
I wouldn't say that would be your responsibility to replace, to put that vegetation in place unless you accept this as the condition of approval. If that is a condition of approval, it would be your responsibility to install that vegetation. That doesn't speak to whether it was removed initially. It just says this is the condition and this is what you would be responsible.
What we've done is we've done this on other conditional use permit where there's a concern about some privacy with the adjoining property owner, and sort of to mitigate that concern, we've asked the owner who's seeking the conditional use permit to put some screening in to mitigate that.
Okay.
And so sometimes it's been a fence, sometimes it's been some green, vegetation that'll grow year round. Sometimes it's been arborvitae, but we've tried to really define like the narrow area where we think that additional screening would help mitigate the conditional use permit.
Okay. Now, would it also be possible to have that screening on the other side of the fence on the neighbor's
We can't
property?
put a condition on property that's not before us.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, I mean, if that's the neighbor's property that's here. If he were to agree to that, then withdraw his request. It just wouldn't be binding. It would just be an agreement to get him to remove his concern if he was willing to install it on his property. We've done that in the past, but it wouldn't be a condition of approval. It would just be those two agreeing to it.
I just have a smaller property than he does in the backyard. So all the room I can get, the better.
So, and the fence belongs to your neighbor?
Yes.
You didn't participate in the purchase and installation of the fence? You didn't participate in the purchase or installation of the fence?
Correct. Yeah.
Except to remove the vegetation that was there?
Well, Andy handled he built the fence and he removed the vegetation.
Madam Chair, notwithstanding the merits of the proposed additional condition that's been discussed, I'm not really comfortable with that. I believe the minute we get into that, we start making assumptions about, we've walked the property, we understand the dimensions, we can understand the sight lines that would be involved, when the height of this landscaping would be sufficient to mitigate the concerns that were expressed today. We can speculate about that. I believe it takes us way beyond what our capacity and our authority is. So I believe it would be appropriate for us to express it, I'll be glad to express it, that the applicant work with, that we take him at his word, that he will work with his neighbors to mitigate those concerns about sight lines, but to actually add it as a formal additional condition of approval, it would have to be so technically, it would have to express some technical dimensions that without actually having a survey and technical knowledge of all of those dimensions, I just wouldn't be comfortable supporting.
Based on what you've heard from staff, you would think that would need more specificity.
Yes, plus I think it gets into an area of assumed expertise, not only on this particular case, but for other cases, that unless we've got some really technical information in front of us that can verify, in other words, what if we place that condition, the applicant abides by that condition, places the landscaping as we've requested, and yet there are still concerns expressed, well, it doesn't do enough to mitigate this lack of privacy, and it's the wrong shape of arborvitae. Don't want to get into that.
I'll note, just from staff's perspective, that's a very good concern. We don't know if this I mean, we're presuming that these plants would grow there. We don't know. We don't know if there's adequate spacing. And just another thing I'll point out, he installed the fence, but there's nothing requiring him to maintain the fence, moving forward. So if you feel that the fence is adequate screening, which we've required for other short-term rentals, you might want to condition that, even though it's there, to ensure that it remains there and that the next owner keeps it there if they carry on with short-term
Joe,
rentals.
I think the problem was the testimony, if I understood from the applicant correctly, is that it's the other property owner that installed the fence. And I think it's on the other property's property.
Oh, I missed that point.
So I don't think so we can't put a condition on him to do something on somebody else's
No,
property.
We could potentially say if that fence were to be removed, that a new fence, and that there needs to be a fence in that location. But yeah, obviously we can't make them keep that fence if they didn't install it.
And again, I just want to say that, yeah, I'm happy to, like I said, I wasn't sure if this was the right forum or not, but definitely would like to discuss with him and see if there is something that we can come up with, a solution.
Okay, and Mr. Beda, I do concur with the concerns that you raised. Yeah. So, so what we're hearing is that you would be willing to have some discussion, serious discussion with the neighbor about screening.
Yes.
Members, any other thoughts?
Question,
Yes.
would the applicant or the staff point out, delineate for me where this pad of gravel or concrete in the front yard is on the drawing?
So if you see here, Member Horton, it's in front of the house. Here's the driveway where the cursor's moving. And then there's a concrete area that's leading to these stairs to the front of the home.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on pad?
Thank you.
I think what we've heard, based on the discussions that would take place, what that simply says is that you would have discussions with the neighbor. It doesn't say what the outcome would be. There's nothing binding in terms of future direction other than that there would be this discussion that takes place. And that's in the record. That would be in the record.
That would be my point. There's really no way to enforce that. The conversation kind of began here. So if you wanted to add that, just to note it's in the record, but there's really nothing more to that condition in terms of how we would enforce it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I would not propose adding a condition in that case, but I am open to discussion.
Close the public hearing.
We're at this point closing the public hearing.
Thank you.
We are in deliberations. The public hearing is closed. Thank you. We are in deliberations on 25 CUP 45. Members, any additional discussion?
Madam Chair, again, just to reiterate, even though it's not a formal condition and is not directly enforceable, but in the record that both the board has expressed to the applicant and the applicant has expressed back to the board, as well as to adjacent property owners, his intent to demonstrate through his operation of this short-term rental devotion to the idea of being a good neighbor. And that includes providing adequate landscaping privacy for property owner for which they share a backyard property line. And on that basis, I think we're prepared to move forward.
All right. And I concur. Is anyone ready to make a motion, or is additional discussion needed?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Please proceed.
Regarding case number 25-CUP-0045, the request for a conditional use permit to allow short-term rental of a dwelling unit that is not the primary residence of the property owner in an R5 zoning, according to Land Development Code 4.2.63. I make the motion that we approve the request for the conditional use permit based on the staff findings, our staff report, and the thorough discussion feel like we've had, and then there are conditions of approval, 2 conditions on page 7 of 7 that would need to be adhered to.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve 25 CUP 45 based on the discussion we've had today and the documentation that's in the staff report. We're ready to vote.
Jan, Horton,
No.
Ford,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Abstain.
Vita,
Yes.
Bond.
Yes, the CUP has been approved. Next item on the agenda is 17 CUP 1062, Jude. Here.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Oh, of course, of course. Yeah. All right.